So imagine you have a battery, let's say a 5 volts battery, and you have here a resistor of a value of 100 ohms. Voltage in this case equals to current multiplied by resistance. So in our case it's 5 volts equals to I multiplied by 100 ohms. That's basic Ohm's law. What if we change the resistance to 0? The value of the resistance becomes Ohm's law in this case will state that current multiplied by 0 ohms, the voltage in this case will be 0. So if we decide to remove the resistor here and put just a wire, the voltage here will be 0, and this is called short circuit. Remember this concept. Okay, now let's do some change to the circuit. I put the 5 volts battery, and we're gonna put a switch here. Let's put our voltmeter here to measure the voltage. When the switch is not open, the voltage here is, let's say switch is open, the voltage will be 5 volts. No current is flowing here. But if we decide to close the switch, now switch is closed, what will be the voltage in this case? It will be 0, because basically a switch is just 2 wires with 0 resistance touching each other. So here, if we measure the voltage will be 0. Okay? Now, this is called a short circuit. Basically, I've put a very low resistance wire on the battery terminals, or a voltage source terminals, and then voltage becomes 0. Let's apply that on transistors. They are switches, electronic switches, basically. So a transistor, a PNP transistor, has the base, collector, emitter. If you have a signal here, let's say a 5 volt signal on the base, it will conduct electricity. It will let the current pass through from the collector to the emitter. And when there is 0 voltage, no current will flow. It will stop the current flow. Okay? Now, let's make the same circuit here. We have our 5 volts battery connected to a transistor this way. Okay? If I put 0 volt here and measure the voltage at the ends of the transistor, okay, so the voltage on the base, I'm going to call that V base, equals 0 volt. The voltage here, I'm going to call it V out, equals to 5 volts. Okay? So remember that 0 volt on the base, which is our input, will output 5 volts. Now let's put 5 volts on the base. This transistor will turn on, allowing the current from the battery to flow. Current is smart. It takes the least resistance path. And the transistor is a very small resistance path, and a lot of it will flow here. The voltage will drop. The V out in this case, when V base equal to 5 volts, V out equal to 0 volt. So you notice that the input is the invert of the output in both cases. So you put high voltage, you get low voltage on the output. Or you put low voltage on the output, you get high voltage. Or on the input, you get high voltage on the output. And this is called an inverter.